Welcome back to another video. Today I had a question come in about Jing Sketch and to do a more in-depth, not really review because I've already reviewed it, but more of an in-depth look into the brush pack, kind of delve into the different tools that are available in it. As I shown in previous videos, I will link it up in the captions over here, so you can kind of click on it and go to it however you want. I moved a couple of my favorite brushes from the different brush packs that I've gotten, being Trent Kanuga's brush pack, the Virtual Timmy brush pack, and Jing's brush pack. Also BJ Dell's texture pack and his kind of like an animator's brush pack. So I moved it into a favorites folder. The way you do that is, for those who don't know, you just duplicate your brush. Once it's duplicated, then you hold on to it and then you just move it to whatever folder. I created this favorites folder because these are the brushes that I use the most when I do digital art. But I really wanted to really focus on, don't want to make that paint stroke. Focus on Jing Sketch brush pack, because if there's a brush pack that you're gonna get right off the bat, especially if you're gonna be doing digital painting, Jing's is by far my favorite. For texture, Virtual Timmy's great. If you're gonna be doing a lot of concept art, Trent's is amazing. But today we're gonna focus on Jing, and I'm gonna do future videos on the other ones as well. But because I've been doing a lot of digital painting on the iPad, I've been kind of sticking with Jing and then using everybody else's as kind of like a auxiliary to kind of beef up the painting. So the first thing I want to show is the sketch square. So if you go actually to Jing's paint here, you'll notice that the sketch square is not there. That's because Jing has a special section called Jing Sketch. These are the ones that you're going to use for sketching. The one that I really enjoyed was the sketch square. So this is going to be huge. I normally go at a medium, so that's how it is at a medium. But even high, as you can see, you get some really nice. This is great for gesture drawing. So if you're just doing some quick, movements, not staying still, not using your wrist but using your arm. If you have a place to really put your iPad, because I know a lot of you are like me, where I'm just kind of like drawing, waiting for a class, or waiting in a waiting room, and you don't really have the space to kind of use your whole body. But gesture is all about making movements and really animating yourself, because if you don't animate your body, you can't animate the figure. But I use the square a lot for gestures and creating compositions. Really, and as you can see here, just a couple strokes and already you can tell that it's kind of like a person sitting down. Once I get that sketch out of the way, I always duplicate it because it just makes it darker, more vibrant. Then I lower the opacity, and this is where Jing Sketch brush pack really gets its weight in gold. You go to your paint, and as you can see here, I made two separate folders, but it depends on what you really like to do. I like to stick with the sharp render, and we're gonna just go with a realistic skin tone here, and you can go as big as you want, and I'm coloring right on it. So I go underneath it just so you can see your lines. And I'll go to a current one that I'm working on at the moment. So this one right here, I'm still bringing it to life. and I actually didn't use a sketch for this one. I just went straight to painting. But for this part right here, these really sharp edges, I like to use the oh, I gotta go to my favorites folder. I like to use the Edge Control Smooth. So what that does is, if you really want to get this edge here and make it really stand out from the arm that's behind the rib cage, you can do that. And it just really gives it some weight, and you can kind of mess around with the color. So that's another one that I really like to use for Jing Sketch. Now to go over some of the paint brushes that are in here, as you can see, some of the some of the other ones got stuck in the folder. This is the one that's pretty much the way I got it from Jink Sketch. So I'm just gonna knock that one out of here real quick, and I'm gonna show the chalk ones, because these are the ones that I really didn't get to show in the last video. But these are great. If you don't have a texture pack, these are great tools for texture. Just to give you an idea, I'm going to create a clipping mask here. So what the clipping mask does is you can draw over it, and it won't go outside of the character. So let's say her skin is really coarse. I'm going to go with a dark red. You can actually up the size a little bit and just go around the corner here. And you can even add a little texture to the clothing. Obviously, if these were separate layers, you could make the clipping mask for that layer, but because I am painting all on one layer, I like to add on bit by bit. So if, let's say, she's got another piece of cloth, I can create another layer and give it some volume and make it look like it's popping out of the canvas. But that's the clipping mask right there for those that want to add some texture. So that's what's nice about that particular brush. The chalk stream, it's the same thing, but this one's streamlined, so it has that follow through, which is good for, like I said, if you know you're out and about sitting at waiting for something or waiting for a class. It kind of helps you if you don't have complete arm movement. So if you kind of need that help getting something straighter. But I just love the texture that you get with the chalk. This one's more of a soft, almost like sidewalk chalk. This is great for hair, especially if you're doing a big close-up of a character and you need the foreground to be somewhat blurred to give the face a little bit more. You can always go to the edges here and really blur that out. What I'm going to do next is I am going to just create a mass, just a ball, and just show the different things that you can do with Jing's brushes. So in Jing's tutorials, when you pick up the brush pack, there's a tutorial PDF. What he does with that is he shows that he kind of does what I'm doing, where you kind of paint on one layer, and then as you go, you add on to that piece. So what you would do is you have this huge blob here, and with a normal skin tone on a character, you're just going to change the hue a little bit and just go another shade. We can lock the layer because this is just for tutorial sake, but this is the messy paint, and this one is streamlined, and it almost looks like a peach right now. and I'm going about a medium hardness. If you go softer, or you use the side of the pencil, that's how I like to do my figure drawings on here. Is I'll use the side of the Apple Pencil. It's gotten some wear and tear. And you could even go back to the edge control. This is the smooth one. And you don't have to use an airbrush. Because to get that softness before, you would have to use an airbrush. But I love blending with Jing Sketch's blend, which I'll show you in a second. Amazing blending tools, because he has one on there that's a painterly type of blend. This is the edge control grain, so I'll just get rid of those. I'll go big with that one. So this is another kind of textury, which you can take care of with the blending tool. If you don't like the coarseness of it, I think it adds character to it. And then if you wanted to, we're gonna go really far off the spectrum here, go a little lighter. Oh, and just get that inside. And obviously, in real life, things aren't just dark on the sides and then light on the middle. Some things kind of have some light in the center too, so you could do that. Before I go to the blending, I want to show you some more of the paint. This is the dirt one. I'm really enjoying the dirt, especially for characters that have armor. You can just dab lightly, and you could kind of create this effect like it's gone through battle, or it's got some chipping, wear and tear. Thin render solid is another one that I like to use. I'll go back to the little peach in a second. Thin render solid is a one that I like to use to in tandem with the Jing Sketch square. So this one has a very anime manga feel to it. It really has this bold look to it, and it quickly became one of my favorites for doing line work and sketching. It reminds me a lot of, inking with a Copic multiliner or a Sakura pen. You can really get some cool effects with it, and even if you go bigger, it has a calligraphy feel to it. So I really enjoy the thin render solid. And the nice thing too is if you do duplicate them, you can name it. So let's say you draw manga comics or comic books, and this is the one you specifically use for backgrounds or characters. You could just put on there background pen. I use this more than the fountain pens, like under inking. I very seldomly use the inking brushes. I have pretty much stayed within this realm here of Jing Sketch and all the other awesome brush packs that I've gotten. Now, going back to Jing's paint, everything else is pretty much self-explanatory. This is the hair. This is good for finer details in the hair. But now I want to actually touch on the Jing Sketch, because that's the name of the pack, right? This is the dull flat pencil. This one, if you don't have it streamlined, you could take it off. I left it streamlined, but this one is really good for doing gestures as well, doing kind of models and what have you. I mean, What's nice about a brush pack is you find what works for you, and you know, for some people it might work a different way. I personally don't really use this tool as much. I like to stick to the clean sketch or the sketch square. Now here's the difference between the sketch square. This is the sketch square, and then this is the clean sketch. It's a finer, it's not as coarse. So if you really zoom in there, you'll see this is the difference. If you're gonna be doing a layout though, the sketch square just looks, I don't even know the word for it, but it just looks more, I'm just gonna make a word, concept-y. This is the sketch round but streamlined. Honestly, if you have too much clutter in your brush packs, there's some that you can get rid of, like the sketch round. You can actually get rid of if you like streamline. If you like streamline, you can get rid of the sketch round. It's completely up to you. You'll always have the brush pack saved on either your email or your zip file. So if you kind of screw something up, you can always reload it. So you're not losing anything by cleaning up your brush packs. It's just personal preference of mine to create that favorites folder, but you know, results may vary. You might enjoy something else. This is the mechanical pencil. I thought I was going to really use this one a lot, but like I said, I really fell in love with the sketch square. This one does have that feel of a real mechanical pencil, and you know, I normally in real life I draw with this Graph Gear 1000, the one that I reviewed before, the Kuratoga, and then lately I've been using just a really sharpened pencil and just use the tip and then just draw like this, because I'm doing a lot of figure drawing. So when you're figure drawing, it's not good to just go in with a really sharp line. It's better to just get these smooth outlines in. So this gives you that effect, that really fine sketchy effect. The opacity was down, but even with the opacity up, it's not horrible. And even here, if I turn the streamline off, you still get that freedom that you would if you used a regular pencil. But you know, results may vary. You might enjoy something else. This is the square mechanical pencil. So this is more if you're used to using a 0.9 millimeter mechanical pencil instead of the typical 0.05 or 0.03. This is more of that broad end. This is great for geometrical shapes. If you do cartooning, animation, this is great for that. But you know, just getting out and practicing those little movements, it's always good to do. Alright, so here is the pen tool. Now, I'm not going to do the stream because it's the same thing, just streamlined. If you see here, you still have a little bit of a jitter. So if you're going for that effect, it's completely up to you. These I really don't use too often. This is the fountain pen. This is the dry fountain pen. This is the diagonal. So this is more of a calligraphy, if you're into calligraphy. This one's more of a straight, there's no taper at the corners. Now this is my favorite thing to play around with. It might not seem like a lot, but the master smudge, the master jittery, the master noisy, the painting whisk, the painting and soft edge softener, and new texture, and dreams. These are amazing smudges for your paintings. So I'm gonna pop my character back up. I'm gonna duplicate it so I don't mess around with the original. and just show you some of the blending that is available on here. So let me just go back to my favorites here and go to blend and smudge. There we go. So the first one I like to use is the painting wisp. And if you really zoom in, you can see why it's called a painting wisp. It has this textured look to it. It's great. I love it. Now this is the master smudge. This is another one that I use very frequently. You can really get this weird effect, especially if you blend a couple of colors, like 3 or 4 colors at a time. On skin tones, I like to use the texture one. And it creates this nice little flare in the skin tone. So it creates volume without having to actually paint. And when you zoom out, you're already adding character to it just using a smudge tool. I'm not a big fan of the smudge tools that are offered on Procreate to begin with. So having these, I feel like it's just worth it just to get this this brush pack, just to have these smudge tools. So hopefully that was a pretty in-depth review. I still stand by what I said. It's definitely a buy. It's not even a question of should I. It's you. Yeah, you should. Especially if you own an iPad. If you have Procreate, it is a must buy if you're getting into digital art, digital painting. So down in the description below is a link to Jink Sketch. Yeah, I'm an affiliate now, so anytime you guys grab it, I get a little kudos for it. So I want to thank everybody for watching. I hope this was informative, and as always, don't forget to keep it over at 9,000.